Hi everyone, and welcome back to day 16 of my 90-day transformation challenge. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Irene, and for the next 90 days, I'm challenging myself to become more disciplined, intentional, mentally strong, and more consistent in the way I live my life. And if you're following this journey with me, welcome back. So today we are talking about something that I think many of us know very well, and that's facing the hard things. And I want to start with a question. What is the one thing that you've been avoiding? That conversation, you need to have, or maybe postponing emails, applications that you should have submitted and you're yet to submit, and matters maybe fixing your financial issues, projects that you've just shelved somewhere, or rather decisions you've been afraid to make. You know yourself. These are the things that I want us to talk about. Okay, because sometimes the hardest thing isn't actually doing the thing, it's facing the feeling that comes with doing it. So before we start, just a quick update on how I began my day. Day 16, as usual, I skipped the rope 1,000 times and I did a 1 hour yoga session with Travis Elliott. And I want to tell you something. When you commit to a 90-day challenge, you quickly realize that motivation is not going to carry you every single day for sure. Because today I was just feeling like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. Then I just remember that motivation is not the key, but consistency. So some days, I feel excited. Others, I feel very tired, especially with skipping the rope. I feel like now my legs are very sore and very painful. But yeah, we have to keep on showing up. Yeah. You see, now since you're talking about transformation and change, and you said that some days you simply don't feel like doing anything, but I'm glad that I'm here learning something during this challenge. The transformation doesn't happen on the days when I feel motivated. No, that's not true. It will happen when I decide I'm going to do it anyway, when I just go all in. And today made me think about something bigger, because skipping the rope 1,000 times is uncomfortable. Yoga for 1 hour can also be uncomfortable, but there are things in life that are much harder than exercise, things that we cannot sweat out, things that we cannot stretch away, things that we have actually to face. And think about this. You wake up in the morning, you remember the thing, you tell yourself, I'll deal with it later. Then you go through the day, you get busy, what we do, yeah? Checking our phones, definitely maybe working, cleaning, or just watching something. Then you do anything that gives you a reason not to think about it. Then at night, you're there laying on your bed, and suddenly you remember, oh my God, I was to do this thing and I've been postponing it. And that brings some sort of feeling with it and tension, and that uncomfortable feeling in your chest is what I'm talking about. And then, what we normally do? We talk to ourselves, yeah, about this feeling. You tell yourself, tomorrow I'll deal with it. I will work on this tomorrow. Then the following day comes, and as usual, you postpone again. So until something that could have taken 1 hour has occupied your mind for like 3 months, that is the cost of avoidance. And sometimes we think we are avoiding the task, but we are actually avoiding the emotion attached to that task. That is really what I've come to discover. Maybe it could be embarrassment. Like, honestly, look at me posting on YouTube and only two people are viewing, and I've taken more than 3 hours to do this. Yeah, it can be embarrassing and also discouraging. Or maybe it could be fear of what people will say, it could be rejection, uncertainty, or maybe it's the possibility that brings that things won't go the way you want. Maybe you're afraid of having a difficult conversation because you don't know how the other person will respond. Maybe you're afraid to look at your finances because you're afraid of what the numbers will tell you. So yeah, you're afraid to apply for that job because you're afraid someone will just say no. And I've been there as well. So let's not self-sabotage. So instead of facing the discomfort, we postpone the action, and this happens all the time. So I want to make something very clear. Avoiding something doesn't mean you're weak. No. Sometimes avoidance is simply your mind trying to protect you from discomfort. Your brain says, if we don't deal with this, we don't have to feel uncomfortable. Yeah, that is what our brains always are there to shield us. And for a few minutes, you feel better, and then later, this feeling comes again because the temporary relief can create a long-term pain. You just feel so much pain inside of you. You feel bitter, and tomorrow the problem is still there, and now it's bigger because it's something that you've postponed for more than 3 months. And you're able to tell the patterns, and it's not easy for you to interrupt it. Yeah, and this is where transformation begins, honestly, when you're able to identify, oh, this thing has been sitting on my mind and I've been feeling this way and this has been the pattern. So I'm challenging you to just start working on it today because I've been there. I've faced that 1,000 times. I feel like now I'm starting life again, all over again. So facing hard things is not just about getting things done. It's about, who you become when you start facing them. Every time you avoid something, you're teaching yourself, or when something feels uncomfortable, I run. But every time you face something difficult, you teach yourself, I can handle uncomfortable things. And that changes your identity. Your identity is key, it's the center of who you are. So you begin trusting yourself, respecting yourself, your confidence grows, not because somebody told you are confident, but because you have evidence. You have the evidence that I showed up. Like for me, I can't wait for these 90 days to end because I feel like that will be the pillar, the foundation of a different life for me. So you've seen yourself do hard things, and that is the real confidence. Confidence is built through evidence and nothing else. So I really want us to make this a little bit practical. If there's something you've been avoiding, here's how I want you to approach it. Step one, name the discomfort. Take a piece of paper, write down 3 things that you've been avoiding. Don't write, I need to get my life together. That's too vague. Please just be very specific about that particular thing. Could be, I need to look at my finances, or I need to have that conversation or apply for that job. Whatever it is, just name it and write it down because you cannot solve what you refuse to identify. So make sure you're able to identify those 3 things. The second step is to separate the task from the emotion. Ask yourself, what am I actually afraid of? Because maybe you're not afraid of making the phone call, you're afraid of what people might say, or you're not just afraid of applying for that job, you're afraid of the rejection or opening your bank statement. You're afraid of seeing the reality. So once you separate that task from the emotion, the task becomes smaller, and you can say, okay, I'm uncomfortable. That's different from I can't do this. So you can be uncomfortable and still take action. And actually that that is that is it. Like, you cannot take that feeling away from you. That only goes away after you repeat and repeat and repeat till now your nervous system gets to learn your new way of doing stuff. Then the third step is make it small. So sometimes we make hard things harder because we look at the entire mountain. Don't look at the next step. If you need to apply for a job, don't think I have to completely change my career. Just open the application and work on it. Same to fixing your finances. Just whatever it is, make sure that you shrink it and make it smaller. So if you need to have a difficult conversation, don't rehearse the entire conversation in your head for 3 weeks. No, just write down 3 things that you need to communicate. Ensure that is just a way of shrinking the task, because when you shrink the task, you shrink the fear. And for the fourth step, give it a deadline. So this is where intentions become a commitment. Don't say, I'll do it soon, or because soon is not a date. Be specific on that particular date. And if you've read the book Atomic Habits, then you know you have to be very, very specific. So you have to say, maybe I will do this on Thursday at 10 a.m. So put it on your calendar, treat it like an appointment with your future self, because if something matters to you, it deserves a space in your calendar. And for the next step, take the first uncomfortable step. And this is a part I really want you to remember. Don't wait until you feel ready. You may never feel ready. Take the first step while you're uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Make that call. Just apply for that job. Uh, Ask. Whatever it is, take that first step. Do the thing, because action changes the emotional state. Sometimes we think, once I feel confident, I'll act. But very often it's the opposite. You act first, then confidence comes from seeing yourself act. And on to the sixth step, I would say is celebrate the shift. Uh, don't just only celebrate the outcome, celebrate the fact that you showed up differently. It could be maybe the conversation didn't go perfectly, or the application was rejected, or the project wasn't perfect, whatever it is, but you faced it. That's a big win, and that matters, because the real victory is, I'm becoming someone who doesn't run from difficult things. That is what you're training your brain, and that's an identity shift. So this is the lesson that I'll take from today's, you know, today's lesson. The lesson I'm taking out of today's lesson. Here's something that I think is very important wherever you're building a business, leading a team, raising a family, looking for a job, or simply trying to improve your life. Successful people don't necessarily have fewer problems, honestly, and they don't have like more than 24 hours. We all have the same 24 hours. They just become better at facing problems. That's the difference between people who are successful, people who are making it differently in life. They just become better because they have trained their nervous systems and themselves and their brains and their identity to shift. So they don't spend all their energy pretending problems don't exist. They identify them, they make decisions, they take action, they learn, they adjust, they move forward. And I really think that's a powerful leadership principle. You cannot lead your life effectively if you keep avoiding the decisions your life is asking you to make. You have to take ownership, not blame, not excuses, ownership. You have to ask yourself, what is within my control, and then act on that. So here's a challenge that I'm throwing onto you. I want you to identify one thing, okay, that has been sitting on your mind in the longest. Then think the thing that creates that little tension every time you think about it. Identify it. And then once you identify it, write it down and name the emotion that is attached to it. Okay, when you think about this thing, what emotion comes with it? Break it into the smallest possible action, give yourself a deadline, and take the first uncomfortable step today, not tomorrow, today. Okay, and don't wait for life to become easier. Just do it today, because life will never become easier. So that's my challenge that I am throwing to you, because every time you feel something difficult, something changes inside you. You become very strong, stronger than you were, more disciplined and confident, and you begin trusting yourself again. And eventually, you become a person who doesn't get intimidated by every difficult thing that comes your way. You become grounded, resilient, and unshakable. And that's what this 90-day challenge is really all about. And that's what I'm learning. I'm not just about doing yoga, skipping the rope. It's not just about waking up early or doing all the things that I'm trying to, make sure I do every single day. We are training ourselves to become people who keep promises to ourselves, people who take responsibility, who face discomfort, people who don't allow fear to dictate our future. So today, remember, courage is not about the absence of fear, not at all. Courage is refusing to obey fear. So, like I've mentioned, my name is Irene once again, and this is day 16 of the 90-day transformation challenge. Please remember to subscribe, and let's keep on showing up for ourselves, and let's keep on pushing so that our lives can become better and we are able to transform ourselves. So, See you tomorrow for day 17, and I'm encouraging you to keep on showing up. Thank you so much for being here and take good care of yourself. Bye bye.